Hello, my beautiful people, and welcome to yet another episode of Rise to More. I am so incredibly excited because today I have a guest who I would probably say is like a one tough cookie and my spirit animal in so many ways. She has, through her perseverance and her showing up in this world, taught me so much about what it takes to have grit and resilience, but also humanity in all of it. So, she didn't ask for permission or a perfect plan. She just started. Beth Benike is an Army veteran, a mom, and an inventor who turned a chaotic lunch with friends and her baby boy into Busy Baby. The patent silicone mat with now distribution in Walmart, Target, and homes nationwide. From 10 years in uniform, bless you, Beth, to 15 patents, mortgaging her family home to scale, walking away from a Shark Tank deal that still exploded her brand, and then surviving a brutal 2025 tariff storm that dropped sales by, I believe, nearly 60% and threatened everything. She's fought at every level. This isn't just entrepreneurship. Today we're talking about the heart. We're talking about the grit. We're talking about the resilience that I believe is forged in a uniform, and it's tested by motherhood and really now battle tested against forces that no one saw coming. So Beth Benike, welcome to Rise to More.
Thank you for having me. You're so kind.
Oh,
I say all those things.
That I'm not reading anything that is not true. You are one tough cookie. You're just remarkable. Your journey has been nothing short of fascinating. It has not been easy. But I think the first question that we're going to get into this, that you've been having a really successful business. The tariffs nearly crushed it last year. You became a face of small business in our country. How are you doing?
I've been better. I'm still fighting. I'm still struggling. But I'm hanging in there. I'm hanging by a thread, but I'm hanging in there. It's still a battle.
So what's the status right now? Take us a little bit. We're going to talk about your business and how it started. I mean, it's a fascinating story, and we're going to get into this idea. But just in right now, when the last year, when we first heard about your business and the struggles, I think that you were struggling with like a 145% tariffs, and that was just untenable, completely untenable. Where are they at right now?
Right now, I got my last container days before the Supreme Court ruling. So the Supreme Court ruled that the tariffs were illegal. 4 days before that, I had just paid my last tariff at 30%. Actually, no, it was 20%. But it was significant. And so now I believe the tariffs are at 10% for me, or maybe 15%, but we're not shipping anything right now because I just got fully stocked.
Shipment. So if they've been now illegal, do you get your money back?
Great question. The court ordered that we should get the refunds. The International Court has given the administration 45 days to figure out, or not even the administration, Customs and Border, 45 days to figure out a process by which people who have paid tariffs could get their refund. But I will tell you, there's a lot of us who are not expecting to get that anytime soon. We're not expecting that process to even be completed. And more than anything, I probably expect that the administration is going to appeal that judge's order before the 45 days is up.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit more about that and just what it took. I'm going to tell you the moment that made me cry. But let's take our audience a little bit back into the beginning. I know we've heard this story. You probably have told the story so many times, but you were very, very beautiful, inspiring story. In creating this company started with just on an outing with two girlfriends and their babies.
Yeah. So I became a first-time mom at 40. I was in the military for 10 years, then I went to school. I finally settled down in Rochester. I eventually met my husband and started the family when I was pregnant at 39 and had my first son. I was working a corporate job, and so I took maternity leave for 12 weeks, and when I went back to work, I didn't actually have my son with me. two of my stay-at-home mom friends took me out for lunch, and they brought their babies with them. And they just took me out to check on my mental health, because going back to work after having a baby and being home that whole time is it's a hard transition. Mm-hmm. And so they just really wanted to check on me and take me out for lunch. And the entire meal, their kids were doing what all babies do, just reaching for everything on the table, dropping it, throwing it. And one of those moms was a really big germaphobe. And so, she went on and on about how you don't want to put baby's food on the table surface because you don't know what they're cleaning it with. And, toys don't go back once they've hit the floor, so you have to bring a lot of toys. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm going to go on Amazon right now and buy something. So when my son is big enough to join us at the table, he won't be that distraction. And so long story short, it didn't exist. And so the next day while I was driving to work, I had an idea. I got home and I started, the process of making what I now know is a prototype. I didn't know then. I was just trying to make a mom hack, a solution that would work. Mm-hmm. I made one for myself. I made one for one of my best friends who had a baby 8 days after me. And that was the end of it. And then my friend Kate called me a couple months later and she's like, oh my God, I forgot your mat thingy last night. And it was horrible. I did not realize how useful that thing was until I didn't have it. You should make this for real. And that was the moment that it started to become a potential business, because I was like, how would I make this for real?
There's something, but it came from very often we hear this. There was a problem, there was nothing there on the market and I just figured it out. But what part of you thought of going home and messing with silicone and figuring it out? I don't know that would have occurred to me. Where does that come from?
So I come from a family of innovators. My dad is a welder, and so he's fabricated solutions to everyone's problems, whether it's a broken lawnmower or a rusted out farm equipment. He's always just found a way to fix things and make them work. And my stepdad is the same way. And so for me, it's just natural that there's always a solution. There's always something you can do. And so I was actually commuting to work, and I was pumping while driving. And I had this, bra that could hold the pump, and an idea popped in my head of what if we had something that you could switch out toys and have it be connected and suction, and so that was just
it was just now that we're looking at it, we're going to show the products. Now we're looking at it, and it's a household item. We're like, how do we live before? Like, I can't believe that we actually function without it. But it does take, I think, that someone to see things in a different way. And also, there is an idea, but there's also all the steps that you have to take to make it a reality.
Yeah.
Did you, when you had that idea, did you know, like, oh my God, I'm building $1 million company? Or was it like I'm just going to figure something out and play with it?
No, I think as moms, well, and dads do too, but I think as moms, we all have really great ideas of ways to just get through the meal, to just get through bedtime, to get through whatever part of our day that's the hardest with our kids. We find little hacks to get through. And for me, that's all I was doing. And I thought, when I thought about the potential of doing the work to turn it into like a real product, the fact that it could help other moms, because for me, being an infant mom was really, really hard. I don't know if it's just a difference in mom genes versus dad genes, but every single noise the baby made when he needed something put me into, I need to come to my baby's rescue and solve the problem mode. Mm-hmm. Where dad, it's like he recognizes the baby just dropped something, he'll be fine. I'll get it back for him when I'm done eating my meal. For me, I felt like I need to make the noise stop. I need to get him whatever it is he needs and make the noise stop. And so I thought if something like this helps me get through having a little bit less stress at my meal, it will help another mom. And just like one task that's a little bit less stressful really does make a big difference in your day. So
100%. So it was the passion, genuine interest about not making your own life easier, but the life of your friends and just everyone else. Mm-hmm. There is, when I've read so many articles and listened over the years, this idea of how you take something and then there's like, well, what's next? And how do you figure that out? There's an incredible amount of discipline that has to happen to make sure that happens. You also served in the military for over 10 years. Thank you so much for your service. We just talked about it. You served in Bosnia, and I'm from Bosnia. Do you think that as I'm thinking right now, we're going to get into also this last year and how hard it's been, and entrepreneurship in general is hard. There's so much resilience that you have to have. That time in the Army, do you think that it correlated in any way to business?
Oh, 100%.
Okay, in what way?
100%. So when you learn a job, so this is the great thing about veterans, I think, is that we have the ability to learn anything. There's no one that goes into the military with already the experience to be a heavy wheel mechanic, or for me, a linguist, electronic warfare linguist. Every person who joins the military and gets assigned a job has to learn something they've never learned before and then do it as a job. And very quickly. The training, it's not like a 4-year degree. It's you get pushed through 12 weeks of training, or 24 weeks of training, and then you're thrown out into the world, and then you're sometimes deployed almost immediately.
Oh, wow. And that can change depending on the needs as well, right?
Exactly. And so we train, we learn our job, we train on what potentially could happen. And prior to being deployed, I went to Egypt and trained in a desert environment. And then when I got to Iraq and we got completely just clobbered by a haboob, which is like a giant dust storm, it ruined my camera equipment and my record, like everything I needed for my job. It was all covered in sand and dust. And now what do I do? Like we trained for desert environments, but this never happened. Well, I'm in Iraq. I can't just go back to the studio and get some new equipment. I have to figure it out. You don't have a choice. And so for 10 years, that was just how life was. You just figure it out. And so now when it came to business and I hit a roadblock or a wall or a challenge, you just figure it out. That's just what you do.
I love how you say it. It's just like nonchalantly. You just figure it out.
There's always a way.
There's always a way. Do you think that that's an art that's being lost on us because we've gotten so comfortable and we really don't? You talk about your dad and being able to fix things. When I was growing up, even the shoe that was the bottom was lost. You fixed that. Now it costs more to fix that than to buy a new pair of shoes. Yeah. We did the mending of all our clothing. We learned how to figure it out because we didn't have a lot. So when you think about your dad, who I know was really great inspiration and has given great advice over the years, do you think if you look around right now and everyone wants to be in entrepreneurship, that we're losing that art of just figure it out?
I don't know if we're losing it or if we're just, our generation is not seeing that the kids are learning it in a different way. Because I'm watching my boys who are 6 and 9 do things in Roblox and Minecraft, and I'm thinking, oh God, video games. But they're actually building, they're actually using creativeness, and they're finding ways around and through and thinking outside the box. It's not how I pictured it, and to me, video games is a waste of time. But I have to also be open-minded to the fact that kids learn different and people learn differently nowadays. And I think maybe there's not the same type of emphasis on problem solving and getting through the way we learned it from the generation before us.
Yeah.
It's just in a new way. And if we can figure out the way, we can help enhance it.
I love that you put a perspective on that because it's not binary. It's like there's a nuance there, and it's a different world. What do you think in this? From as a kid, I'm curious. Were you I'm gonna figure it out kid always?
I don't think I was on purpose. I think I didn't have a choice. I think if I my family is very much don't come to me with a problem unless you have a solution. So I couldn't just go whine about something. I had to come with a potential solution to whatever problem I wanted to whine or complain about. So I think it was just part of my upbringing, that mental exercise of, okay, if something's wrong, how do we make it right?
Yeah, and you're just figuring it out. So when you're building your company, and gosh, I wouldn't even know where to start because you had to figure out so many different steps. It was manufacturing, it was the shipping, it was where do I produce it, how do I create molds, who do I hire, what do I need in the process. Did you have a vision? Like, I would love to take us back. There's so many people listening who are, I have an idea, but I just, they don't understand the steps to take.
Yeah.
Or they feel like it has to go 1 to 100 versus the incremental improvements over time.
Yeah, I have so many different things to say about this. The first thing I will say is when I started, and the first thing that I had to accomplish seemed hard, like it was going to be a mountain to climb, that once I just get past that, then it's going to get easier. I'm still doing that. 9 years later, almost. It's still that way. It's like, okay, I've gotten, like, I look at I have memories of that first year working out of my basement, and I had this little whiteboard with little tasks on it, and I try to prioritize them. And if I just got stuck on one, I just move to a different one and then come back. And I can visualize in my head what those tasks were. And I think, oh my God, I wish those were my problems today. I wish that's all I had to figure out today, because it's just the more you grow, the more you have to figure out. But what it takes to be an entrepreneur, I think, is the desire and the ability to be able to do that. So if you have an idea and you are a problem solver by nature and you love the challenge of figuring things out, I think chase your dream and chase that idea. If you have a really great idea, but you don't want the constant, like, kind of stress of not knowing what's next, not knowing the exact path, not knowing everything you need to know, because it's never going to be completely cleared. It's never going to go as you think. Then maybe you find a co-founder or someone else to help you develop that idea.
Yeah, don't do it on your own.
No.
Yeah, that's the thing that we don't talk about enough. Entrepreneurship, I feel like in the last few years has been so glamorized. I mean, we see you on a Shark Tank. We see you on all the big major TV stations. You are a success. Small Business Administration gave you a huge award where you were the small business award on a national level. Like, all of these accolades are incredible, but it's really, really, really difficult. Do you think that, like, in that moment of building it, did it ever occur to you, this is too hard? Why did I do this? What's the point of it all?
I don't think I ever got there. Because I hear from people, customers, other small businesses, validating that my products are helpful or that me speaking out is helpful. It is hard. It's very hard. The thing that I would say is, like you just mentioned, there's all these accolades. Shark Tank, Small Business Person of the Year, Inc. 5000, national news. There's also my mental health breakdown where I was suicidal. There's also the fact that I might lose my house still. There's this other side, there's the Instagram versus reality. And so, like, the things you mentioned that are out there so publicly and so amazing about Busy Baby and about my business, the awards, the accolades, that's all great. But the reality is, the day-to-day is, it's really, really hard. And it takes a lot to keep going and to build a support system and to manage your mental health, to make sure you give enough to your kids, and to stay in business and make it through the ups and downs when things get thrown at you, like 145 tariff out of nowhere in a matter of just weeks.
How do you handle that? Well, take us back, because you brought it up that, in 2025, this whole last year has been just, I feel like you're Rocky. That is like still fighting. I swear to God, it was just, it was like it felt like a beating after a beating after a beating. You're just like, I'm still standing. I'm still standing. Darn it.
Yes. I just took another punch, but I'm still here.
I'm still here. But, take us back to, I think it was 2023, when you went through a really rough period. Like, was it in just personally, or was something happen in business that brought you there? And how did you get out of it? Because I'm glad you brought it up. A lot of very successful people listen to this podcast, and there is a shame when we don't feel optimistic or cheerful, all is great, or when we run into a really hard obstacle that we don't know how to find a way out of.
Yeah. I think for me, this really hard kind of mental health breakdown I had, it actually came when my business was most successful. I think that year we were on track to do $4.5 million in sales, which was the highest we had ever done. I had brought my brother into the business, who was my best friend. We served in the military together. We were growing the business together, and it was hard. Being that he was my best friend, I thought it was going to be like a no-brainer, so easy to run the business together. But then I learned we operate differently. We think differently. He's not an entrepreneur. He's a person who really excels in like corporate environments, team building environments, having teams and guardrails and plans and strategy and like a good long-term projection. Entrepreneurship, you don't have any of that. And so it was hard. I had postpartum depression, I think, from my second child. And then what I came to find out later after getting some therapy was that I had what was called situational depression. So when I first started having these thoughts of like, maybe if I just like, I increased my life insurance because just in case then my husband and kids would be taken care of. I had, my brain was truly trying to find ways that I could make sure my family was taken care of with insurance. And when the thoughts became so intrusive and I'd have these horrible thoughts and then I'd wake up the next day and be like, what was I actually thinking? Like, where did that even come from? Because it's not me. I'm, like you said, I'm like this Rocky. I'm like this, I've always been a very strong person. And to have those kind of thoughts where I really, really believed my family, my business, everyone would be better off if I wasn't here. And then the next day wake up and be like, what was that? And so I went to my husband and I went to my brother, the two closest people to me, and I said, I am losing it. I'm having these thoughts. Oh, quit being dramatic. Quit trying to make it about, they didn't believe me. They didn't think that someone like me would ever have those thoughts. And so, they called one of my friends from the military who had struggled with, the same kind of situation. And he talked to me and I went to the VA and I got some therapy and I got some medication. And then I really came back to focusing on my mental health. But what led to that moment was what they called situational depression. Is I had a baby, I started a business, I went through fertility issues, I had another baby, I'm trying to grow this business, now I'm growing it, now I'm managing a relationship with family while doing the business, and it's just piling and piling and piling, and there's no break, there's no rest for your brain to like recover from all that stress. So the situation that I was in caused depression. So I'm not typically someone who deals with depression on a regular basis, but the situation I was in led to a depressive state. And so recognizing that and then giving myself the self-care, finding, I do a cold plunge regularly, I use red light therapy, I go for walks in nature. I make sure now to give myself the self-care I need so that I can be the best mom and be here for my kids and for my business, because no one's better off without me here. But my brain truly had me convinced, and that's the crazy thing is my brain truly had me convinced that people would be better off without me, and that's not me. I would never, ever in a million years believe that until I experienced it myself. And if someone as strong as I believe I am can be in that place, I know other people have been there or could be there now. And I just want people to know that it's not uncommon, and it's, if you're a strong person, you're still a strong person.
Yes.
You just have to ask for help and take care of yourself, and you can overcome that problem as well.
Thank you so much for saying that, particularly because a lot of driven people are strong. So when they go into a situational depression or they experience any kind of hardship, they take it as a personal weakness. And somehow it's a tendency to throw everything away with it. But what I'm hearing you say is that it's not permanent.
No.
It's temporary. You can ask for help, fight like hell, and then figure out the ways that you need to do to nurture yourself and take the next step.
Yeah. And I would say I did recover from it, and it's not permanent. However, when those tariffs were announced and I looked at the numbers of how that would affect my business and what that meant for me, the very first thought I had was, at least I still have that life insurance policy. And that is not, I caught it immediately. And I'm so glad I had gone through what I had gone through in 2023 so that I could catch that immediately and do something about it now, because for so many small business owners, this past year of the challenges that have come out and affected everybody so dramatically, that might be the first major challenge they've had, and it's out of our control. It's not something we did. Someone else changed things that changed our lives, and we didn't screw this up.
Yeah, that was the moment that made me cry, because I've heard you say that. And I remember thinking, gosh, for someone who mortgages their house and puts so much on the line and puts all these years of her life every single day, and there's a cost to these things. And all of a sudden, having an entire, the ground from underneath of you disappear. Yeah. Would you take us just briefly into like what happened last year with the tariffs, and just like within days, you were put into an absolutely horrific, you and a lot of other people, but just horrific situation.
Yeah, for me, the timing couldn't have been worse. And I was really riding kind of a high. We had just gotten into Walmart 4 months earlier in November. We had just launched in Target 3 weeks prior to Liberation Day in April of 2025. I had literally just been named, I think 10 days earlier, the Minnesota Small Business Person of the Year by the SBA. So I was kind of really riding this high of like, yes. And I had upgraded my design of my products. So I had invested in product development. My products are great. They've always been great. We made them better. Mm-hmm. The only complaint people had was the suction cups didn't stick as well as they could. So I invested in upgrading my molds, and it was quite a bit of money. And the new and improved products were all produced and ready to ship to the U.S. And just to mention briefly, I manufacture in China because I'm too small to manufacture in the U.S. And that is hard for people to believe.
But explain why, because it's really important that they know.
It is important. I would manufacture here 100%. I'm still working with a factory in New York. The problem is the cost to run any business in the U.S. is very expensive. It's not just the cost of labor. People say I'm just, in China for the cheap slave labor. That's not it. In the U.S., you're required to carry a lot of different insurance to cover your business in multiple ways. You've got property tax or leases. You've got the cost of electricity. You've got all these costs that go into running a business. And the manufacturing has got even more with regulations and all that. So my products are very low price. And in order for that factory to make profit, they need to charge me either a lot of money, which then I would have to charge my customer significantly more money. People say they'll pay more for Made in America. Would you pay 4 times more? Because that's what it would be. So, or the manufacturer has to make sure I manufacture hundreds of thousands of pieces. So they get, maybe cents on each unit, so they need me to produce a lot of units to make a profit themselves.
And when you're a small business trying to figure out models or new tests, you cannot produce 100,000 items.
Even now, with the success it seems like we've had, we still don't have that kind of demand for our products. People have no idea that Busy Baby exists. I mean, I've traveled the country doing these expos, and no one has heard of Busy Baby. No,
we're changing all of that.
So, it's like that's the hardest part, is to let people know your product or your company even exists.
Yes.
So we're not at the volume to produce in the U.S. Still working on it. Hopefully can do one of my accessories. If Walmart expands one of our products into more stores, we'll have enough volume to be able to produce at one of the factories with one of our products in the U.S. So we're working on it. However, everything else is made in China. This is where over 90% of kids and baby products are made. They have the expertise, they have the resources. The raw material for my products isn't in the U.S. So even that has to be imported, which of course is then tariffed. So in April of 2025, I had 2 containers full of my new and improved Busy Baby mats and our new bundles and our new, everything. I was so excited for the year. And I was anticipating having a record year of sales, like our highest ever. And my stuff was set to get on a ship on April 9th. And the tariffs went up to the one number before 145, I think it was like 124 or something like that, which would have meant, so I had $160,000 of product that I had paid for. Now the tariff I would have to pay as soon as the products get to the U.S.
More than the
was
product.
more than the product. And you have to come up with that money in that time frame. And I mean, small businesses, we're kind of paycheck to paycheck. We don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars just sitting in the bank account. So there was no way I was going to be able to come up with that kind of money, and it wouldn't make any business sense because now you're more than over doubling the cost of my product to me. So in order to be able to stay in business, I would have to increase the cost of the product to my customers, which a lot of people did. And my customers can't afford that. They have new babies. They already have to buy a crib and a car seat and a stroller and formula and diapers and all these other expenses they never had before. You don't need my products to raise a baby. They're really nice to have,
Right.
but you don't have to have them. So if I raise my prices, people just aren't going to buy it.
Right.
So what I did instead was I left my products in China, and we just waited until the tariffs came down. A lot of people took the risk. They thought, oh, this is ridiculous. We're going to ship our stuff. It'll come down before it gets to the border because it's unrealistic that it could ever stay like this. And then they got hit. So I'm glad I waited. But now the damage that was done was I ended up being out of stock for 2 months, which I had little to no revenue for those 2 months, but I had the same operating expenses. I still had to pay my lease. I still had to pay my employees and my insurance. And I have insurance for myself. I have insurance for the product liability. I have insurance for my warehouse. All these expenses that don't go away when you're not selling things. So we dug this hole of debt to keep up with the bills. And on top of that, we probably lost, I would say, close to $500,000 in sales.
Wow.
And then all of our marketing momentum, we stopped marketing. All the marketing momentum came to a halt. And so when the products came back in stock and I started marketing again, I had to start this marketing flywheel that takes a while to get people to click on your ads and see your ads and engage and buy, to then have the algorithm serve it to more people like them. And
So it was needless to say, I mean, it was, I think once you said this is the death, this is similar to this is not, temporarily wounding of a business. For a lot of business, they'll go out of business forever.
Oh, I've already seen several of my friends go out of business.
Just because of that. How heartbreaking that after so much work you put into something completely out of your control, which is so unfortunate. Very often I feel like with politics, where, even with war, I'm keen to saying like men playing war. And it's always, it's like people who get affected are always the most vulnerable. And it breaks my heart. But you figured it out. One of the things that, you're figuring it out.
I haven't figured it out, but I'm still working on it.
Working on it. So now it's come down. But one thing that I think it was the Daily when you talked, that was that was so beautifully done. And I remember you saying, I will never give up, because I want my kids to know what it's like not to give up. And I just started. It was like a waterworks. Because I think every mom knows what it's like to want to be a good role model and to fight. But where do you draw that strength now, Beth? Because even today, it's freaking not easy. And you're still fighting. So in the fourth round, fifth round, like how do you? I'm going to go back to that Rocky imagery. Really, where do you find the strength to persevere?
I think a lot of it is my kids. And maybe I'm just stubborn. Because I don't know what else I would do. Like, I don't know what else to do. I don't, honestly, I don't know what to do other than keep fighting. Because I have a mentor who gave me a piece of advice that he said, you just need a tank of gas. He's like, you've got a Ferrari. You've got a great product, great reviews, proven market validation, now I'm selling internationally. He's like, you have a Ferrari. You just need a tank of gas. And so instead of he's like, if you had a hoopty, I wouldn't, a tank of gas isn't going to get you far. But, you've got a Ferrari, so instead of trying to solve all of the problems, what's the tank of gas I need to just get through this next period? Mm-hmm. Because I've got a great thing, and it's just a hard season right now. And, what's the tank of gas that I can use to get... people talk about all the time, when you've got a big project, break it up into small goals.
Find a way to figure it out.
So, I don't have to solve all the world's problems right now.
Yeah.
I just need to figure out, honestly, I'm like week to week, month to month. How do I get through this next little season?
But one thing that I think that what I have picked up on, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that you also figure out a way. Is like, okay, it's opening up an opportunity to pivot and to adjust. And I think I've heard you say, there's always a way. There's always a way. And that stayed with me so many of my own situations where you can figure something out, but that there is always a way. For our audiences listening, and they're running a small business in a similar situation as you are, and they feel like there's no way, or they're in a leadership position and they're struggling with something, or they're stay-at-home moms and they're struggling with something. Why is there's always a way important to have as a mantra to move forward?
I think we all need wins. We all need little successes to keep us going. For people who golf, like, golf sucks. It's so hard. But then you have this like one great shot and all of a sudden you love golf again. It's the little wins. It's the one shot. It's the one success that when you get it, you feel inspired again. You feel motivated again. And so for a mom at home, it's like maybe finding that one new food that the toddler might actually eat, or the one new trick at bedtime that helps them go to bed or easier. And for, the CEO with a team culture issue, it might be finding like an outside the box idea that gets the team to bond over a project, and I think the easy way to go with all of these things is AI. AI has been such an amazing tool for me to just be able to think outside the box, because that's what we have to do in these situations when you feel like there's no way. Ask Claude, what's an outside the box solution to this toddler eating problem?
I love that. Say that again. So you are embracing AI in
Yeah.
that way to figure it out. You talk to it.
I talk to, or type it or talk it, whatever. I mean, I go for walks outside, and sometimes I just put my phone in my little holder and I turn on the talk to AI thing and I brainstorm just ideas. But we all have our own kind of thoughts and tunnel vision and how we were raised to do things. But when you ask AI, you're outside the box. Like, literally, you can say, I need an outside the box solution to this scenario.
And it will give you ideas,
It'll give
which
you
can,
ideas.
like, you can synthesize and come
And
up
some
with
of
something
them might
powerful.
be great, some of them might not. I was doing it in the car on the way here because I need to stop spending so much money on Facebook ads. They're not working for me right now. I'm just bleeding money in ads. But how do I get people to my website? And I came up with this Moms Supporting Moms campaign where I can get moms to share my business journey, because I'm a mom who invented a product. And in the campaign, we can do a giveaway where in the campaign, tag a mom who helps support you and thank them for how, that mom supported you. And let's like really celebrate moms supporting moms. That was just like my chat with the AI on the way up here to meet you.
Oh, I love that. This is a perfect example of an entrepreneur who is really embracing the innovations and the changes that are coming and figuring out. I'm curious, this is one of the things that I've always felt like. Earlier, I talked to someone that I spoke to about purposefulness, that even the hard things that happen are somehow purposeful.
Yeah.
That there is just like a message in them. So this entire journey the last year, I'm curious, and this is it just occurred to me today. Did it bring visibility to your business? Because all of a sudden you were did you expect to be the spokesperson for small business for our entire nation? I mean, all of a sudden you were everywhere. And I think that we all felt with you. There was this raw pain that we felt, no matter where we stood politically, we understood the pain of a mom's trying to build something. So was there any silver lining in this process, in this hardship of last year?
There's silver linings to everything. There really is. Every bad thing, and I could give you probably 5 to 10 silver linings of this year. I did not know what I was getting into. I don't consume really any media. So when the New York Times Daily podcast reached out to interview me very early in the tariff saga, I had no idea what that was. I had no idea who it was, what it was. It was just when people ask me to do a podcast, I say yes, because it's free marketing. And that podcast aired on a Monday morning, and I think by the end of the day, we had close to $50,000 in sales.
Oh, wow.
So in that example, super great for visibility and for the business. Yet still, I was in New York City for an expo, and I would say 95% of the people who came to my booth had never heard of Busy Baby. Like, there's so many people in our country, in our world, that, you know, when you're on something like Shark Tank nationwide, millions of viewers, and the daily podcast, millions of listeners, there's 330 million people in our country. People come to the baby booth, our booth at an expo, and have never, State Fair, we've had a booth at the State Fair the last 2 years, and I would say at least 90% of the people who come to our booth have never heard of Busy Baby. They're like, wow, this is such a great idea. You should go on Shark Tank.
So
I'm like, I was on Shark Tank. They're like, you were.
So an opportunity is there for you right now. It's like, if that's the thing, that is, there's like, what a beautiful thing. You know how many people don't know about me? Then we have to do something about that.
Yeah. But what I didn't expect was, you know, I've done a lot of like continued coverage with a lot of the news people that just want to follow up and see where the journey has gone and how it's taken me. And so they check in with me every month or 2 months. What it does do, and another silver lining, is I do get more messages from other small business owners who are saying, thank you so much for speaking up for us or for fighting for us, because either they can't, because they don't want their retailers to know they're struggling, or they don't want their friends and family to know they're struggling, or their investors. But there are hundreds of people who have reached out to say thank you for doing what you're doing, because you're a voice for all of us. I don't love doing it, but now I can't not do it because
you've been put in a situation.
I feel like it's actually making some people feel less alone in this, and that's become more important to me now than even my own company, is that, you know, the mental health aspect of, I don't want people to feel like there's something wrong with them because they're successful. They shouldn't be feeling that way. Or they're in this great role, this leadership position, they're making 6 figures. Like, they shouldn't be feeling any certain way other than grateful. Business owners who are really struggling, and you've got a lot of, you know, I get a lot of comments on social media of, well, if you would just make it in America, you wouldn't have to pay tariffs. And if, you know, lots of negativity. But the positivity and the things I'm hearing from other business owners makes it feel like it's actually a good mission to be on.
Very often, it's almost, to me, it's almost like you're being guided right now. And I think that when very often we may question why that is, but here you are still talking about it and how hard it is. I think it's the universe finds a way, God, you know, whatever you believe in, to bless the company and the work that you have done because of the service that you're doing. But we're going to do anything that we can in because the product is absolutely amazing. What's so crazy to me is that my husband is very relaxed. His nervous system is very centered. And I like, when I hear the kids clanking and the noise, I'm like, it drives me crazy. You referenced it earlier. So this idea of that when they're little, the constant throwing, it's every mom's nightmare. And then kids do it just for spite because it's fun. Oh, look, what happened if I throw it again? Will she pick it up again? Yeah. So you've created something that is absolutely life-changing in terms of peacefulness for moms. And I think that's something that we have to talk about over and over and over again. I mean, are you fully aware that you created a product that brings peace to households?
I'm becoming more aware of it. It's going back to doing in-person events, and having someone come to my booth that's had the product with their first baby, or I've had a couple recently reach out to me who are moms of multiples, and to tell me, like, truthfully, you have made my life so much easier, because it's so hard to have twins or triplets, and just to have like literally 15 minutes of peace to be able to sit and calmly eat my own meal with the family, like, makes such a difference in my day.
It's huge.
So it's such a simple product. It's such a simple idea. I think it's great. I love it. I think everyone should have one. But yeah, I'm starting to feel a little bit more of the impact from the
that it
families.
has. Yeah, because it's not just a product. You talk about truly the impact that it has on the household. Gosh, Beth, you have when I heard that you mortgaged your house, I just your land, that and your husband is a farmer, and then you've taken out loans. How do you decide to take such a big risk? Like, how do you decide to bet on yourself? How do you know that it's the right thing to do?
I try to have faith and really tune into my feelings and the gut intuition and just have faith about things. I don't know that they were the right decisions. I'm in a tough spot right now. I'm in a really tough spot right now. And so, I have to go back and talk to the bank this week. Still at risk of losing a lot. And so hopefully it's the benefit, I think, of working with a community-owned bank is that they're more willing to work with you. So I have to have a heart-to-heart with the bank, another one, and hope that they'll continue to work with me while I continue to fight through this. Otherwise, the outlook is not good, according to my 8-ball,
Yeah.
my magic 8-ball.
Well, I think that what I've heard from one of my mentors who's gone through so many setbacks, where at one point completely almost lost an entire company, and he at one point he said it's not about me. And he made it so much bigger about himself. He's like, it's about the people that I employ. It's about my family. It's about the product that I create. It's like, if I lose it, so be it. But there's this like the decisiveness. And what was so interesting is in the decades after that, he's been blessed many times over because of that determination and resilience to persevere. But is it ever a moment where you're just like, I should have just done like something easier?
I mean, I've been questioning myself a lot lately because I'm in such a tough spot. My husband's a 6th-generation family farmer. Our son, one of them for sure, will be the 7th. He loves, it's in his DNA, it's in his blood. And I'm at risk of putting that future of that at risk, of us being able to do that. So I have been questioning myself lately, but one thing I always remind myself is I can't change what's already done. What's happened has happened. The decisions I made are decisions I made. I can't go back and change them. And someone recently told me, I wish you would have told me when you were making that deal with the bank, I would have told you to do something different. I was like, well, I can't. I can't
So
go back
here we are.
I can't go back and change it. So what do I do now?
Yeah.
How do we take this situation today and find the best way to move it forward? I just have to focus on that and not beat myself up about decisions I made leading to this point, because
What's
I can't
the next
change
step
them.
forward? What is the next step forward? I feel like that is there's a resounding, again, and this is why you have been such an inspiration, is that the overcoming, there's a way forward. There's always a way. Figure out a way. Find a way. One foot in front of the other. And I really appreciate it about you. In this entire process, though, what have you learned about yourself? Was there anything that you learned that you didn't know about yourself in the process?
The process has actually made me a better person. I wasn't a bad person before. But I think before I was a very, driven person who didn't necessarily, not that I didn't care about other people's feelings, but I wasn't sensitive to them. I'm a very blunt, forward, honest person that says what's on their mind. I don't sugarcoat things. And oftentimes that can lead to people getting hurt feelings that I don't intend to happen. And I've learned how to be a much more compassionate and patient person. I'm more patient and compassionate than I thought. And I think I'm more resilient, and I use the word stubborn, but people say I'm, tenacious or whatever. Like, I do have this drive that doesn't stop. And the one phrase that always sticks with me that I resort to nearly every day is just do the best you can with what you have where you're at. And if you just keep doing that, you're going to be okay. Just do the best you can with what you have where you're at. That's all you can do, right? And you just keep doing that, and you're going to be okay.
What brings you the most joy when you are not running this huge, beautifully successful company?
Hearing my kids laugh,
Oh, and it's the stage that when they're so interesting.
hearing them happy, hearing them talk to each other, hearing their laughter, like genuine laughter, joy, like the joy of a child, like of simple things. You know, we had this great snowfall last weekend, and so we built this giant snowman, and today it's 70 degrees, so our snowman has, little parts left of him, and just the pure joy and giggleness of how deformed and weird our snowman looks now just was like, oh, like I wish that could make me that happy, and then I try to, absorb it. But yeah.
Kids really do. They have not. We haven't told them anything different. They still believe in the wonder of this world. I feel like my children will do that for me as well. And then they'll do the other side too, when they're banging everything up the wall and they drive me down, because there's both
Oh yeah,
sides.
they drive me nuts too. But yeah, what brings me true joy is being with my family and being together and feeling loved and loving together.
Has it changed the dynamic of your family and the relationship with your husband?
Yes.
In what ways?
I think before all of this, I was so driven to be successful. And while I dedicate, I've always stood by this. I have like 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. I dedicate to the family. I don't ever want the business or work to be more important than watching my kids and helping my kids grow into good people. But it was always kind of like a obligation. Like I wanted to do all the things I could do to make my business successful and grow it and do all the right things to move forward. And now that I'm actually in survival mode and just trying to keep the business alive, I'm realizing how much more important it is to have a strong, safe, loving home environment, because all this stuff can be chaos around us, all the stuff in the news, all the stuff going on. But when we're having family movie night in our bed watching, whatever latest cartoon on Netflix, and we're surrounding each other in good energy and love, that's what matters more than any business accolade or anything like that. So I think this traumatic year kind of put me in my place of realizing this thing I have with my kids and my husband is so much better and more important than I ever knew.
I feel when you say that, we say that because we do mean it, but it's so much more visceral when you speak about it, because we know the costs and what could happen without that. What are you most proud of?
Ooh, what am I most proud of? It's one thing I struggle with. Like, it's really hard for me to brag about anything, because I feel like it's bragging.
Is it bragging? You've accomplished so much. You have worked so hard. I mean, you have this true Minnesota grit of like, we just work. We are workhorses. But you've taken risks that very few people ever will. And you have done things going back all the way through the Army and going through building a hugely successful business, figuring out the problems. You've done things that most people never will. You've done them.
So?
You showed up.
But really, I mean, I think what I'm proud of is trying my very best to raise good humans. I know this keeps coming back to the family and the kids, but what's been happening over the last year, what I've been seeing in the media, because now I have to consume media. Mm-hmm. So, before this, I didn't consume any media, and I didn't pay attention to politics, and I didn't, get involved in any of the things I've been involved with in the last year. And I'm seeing how mean people are. And I was so proud of Minnesota during the whole ICE saga. So proud of the people in my state for actually coming out and standing up for one another and caring about one another, because I was really starting to feel with everything that was happening in our world in the media that everybody's just selfish and nobody cares about anybody. And now we're all like getting pit against one another because if you think one way, then you must be an awful person because you think opposite of me, and we can't agree to disagree on anything. And it was becoming very overwhelming. And to see the people of this state come together the way that they did kind of renewed my faith in humanity. And it makes me feel good to know that I'm trying to raise my kids to be that way too, to support and love one another and not be hateful towards someone just because they think differently or look differently. Or
What does Rise to More mean to you?
I think that's what it means, is just like being a good person, helping the people around you, raising your kids and helping your family be more kind and loving towards one another and more compassionate and understanding and give grace. Give each other grace. That's how we can all be better.
And you are one tough cookie. I want to thank you for your for you saying yes in building the building your company, for building Busy Baby, and for showing up as a CEO in all the ways, even when things are good and clearly now in these incredibly challenging times, but also for who you are. And I think I do want to reiterate the impact that you're having right now as the voice on a national level, inspiring all of us to figure it out. And I think remind us what's really important, which is family and laughter and connection. And I think that that's because of that. I think that is why the universe and God will bless Busy Baby to continue to, soar and bless you and your children for generations to come. So thank you for coming on the show and for being so honest and so vulnerable and just for being an inspiration to me.
Oh, you're so sweet. I don't know how else to be.
Thank you. It's been just such a remarkable conversation.
It's been amazing talking to you.